Hi, I'm Mark. This is my December review for Aquarius Sun sign and Aquarius rising. We start the month with Neptune going direct. This is on the 1st of December. Now if you remember, back in June we spoke about Neptune going retrograde and how you can work with the energy while a planet is still retrograde. And the lesson to be learnt was to develop proper values and to live by them. So if you've done this, then you'll be starting to reap the reward as Neptune goes direct. Now Neptune is at 20 degrees Pisces, so if you have any planets around that area of Pisces or in Virgo, Gemini or Sagittarius 20 degrees, then you will feel this more intensely. On the 4th we have a solar eclipse. This solar eclipse is in Sagittarius and it's in your 11th house. Now this eclipse series belongs to the Saros 5 South, and it's renowned for bringing happy events, joyous occasions. It's also in Sagittarius, which means it's time to take a risk. Be out there, be ready, because there's going to be a lot of growth, fast growth and quick changes happening. So you need to keep pace with this. And also being in the 11th house, it's good for networking, it's good for being involved in groups, making connections with groups, different groups, and also it's good for re-evaluating your goals and dreams for the future. The 11th house is about your future and your future dreams. This is also a great time for money earned through business, and it's a good time to make business connections as well. Mars makes two aspects, one on the 5th, one on the 6th. The one on the 5th is to Pluto. Now Mars is in the 10th house of career and destiny, so this is a good time to put some energy into this area before Mars moves into the 11th house in 2 weeks' time. The other idea here is to use the power of Pluto. Pluto's in that 12th house, so he's hidden, he's unconscious, he's underneath the surface, but use that power. It's a good time to work in the background. It's a good time to work on projects with other people, and it's a good time to unearth things, discover things that are hidden. Then on the 6th, the other aspect is to Jupiter. Jupiter's in your 1st house. This is a time to get noticed. This is a time to be out there, but just don't be overconfident. Jupiter can give you that false sense of confidence sometimes, so keep check on things and you'll be fine. There could be a little blip in the Mars energy on the 7th as the Sun makes an opposition to the Black Moon in the 5th house. So it could just be a little blip, could be just something, a fear that comes back or an insecurity that comes back up that prevents you from speaking up or speaking out. And then 2 days later there's intense energy. This is a conjunction between Venus and Pluto, and this is in your 12th house, so this is unconscious. This is not going to be seen out there, it's going to be coming up from within. And it could be a strong desire. It could be a strong desire for someone who's not available. Or it could be something that becomes a fantasy or a little obsession. But this is a very powerful aspect, and it is very intense. And it will happen again. And I'll tell you why in a moment. The reason why these two will come together again is because Venus goes retrograde. She goes retrograde on the 18th, and that will be for 6 weeks. She goes back over Pluto later on this month in a retrograde motion, but then we'll come together for the 3rd time on the 3rd of March and then move on. Right, so we can still work with the energy while Venus is retrograde, and one of the things we get with the Venus-Pluto is we're able to look into relationships and the relationship patterns that have built up over the years, and see where we need to make positive changes in our attitudes and behaviour patterns. Also, while Venus is retrograde, there is a lesson to be learned, and Venus is in your 12th house. The lesson in the 12th house is to not only develop a true spirituality, but also selfless service toward others, so that you do this without any need for reward. It's probably best not to book anything too strenuous on the Saturday the 11th, because the Sun makes a square to Neptune. This will lower our energy, so we won't feel as good as we normally do. But it is a good day for planning. You have Mercury in the 11th making a sextile to Jupiter in the first house. It's a good time for personal planning. It's a good time to set new goals and to see into the future where you want to be in, say, 5 years' time, and then set out those new goals. On the 13th, Mars moves into Capricorn. This is your 11th house, and immediately makes an aspect to the Moon's South Node. Now, when Mars is conjunct the South Node, he'll be opposite the North Node. So when the nodes are activated, there's a balancing act to do, and you may feel pulled or drawn in a certain direction. Now, the 11th house is friends, so there may be some example of friends putting some pressure on you to do things. But the North Node is the one we need to follow. This is the 5th house of creativity. This is the 5th house of love affairs and children. So if the pull is towards that area, then this is the right way to go. Friends may be all familiar, and they may be good to have fun with, but the Mars energy would be best put to good use in something positive. On the 16th, we have the largest and most important aspect of the year coming together for a third time. Now, this aspect started in January. It's a square between Saturn and Uranus. Now, Uranus is your ruler, but if you have any planets around 10 to 14 degrees of Taurus, then this will affect you very personally. Otherwise, this is a general aspect, but you can see it playing out in news stories because we have the Uranian rebelliousness, the need for change and the desire for change up against the structure and the stability and the organisation of Saturn. And these two have been at loggerheads most of the year. Now, hopefully by the end of the year, when these two finally separate, then things will calm down and we'll be able to get some normality. But the sort of change we want is the more inventive, creative, unique and better side of Uranus. We need these good ideas to change the structure in a creative way. On the 19th, we have our full moon. This full moon's in Gemini and it happens to be in your 5th house. This is the house of fun. It's now time to enjoy yourself, whether it's romantic, whether it's playful, whether it's sporting, whether it's creative. It's time to just let your hair down and have some fun. Do whatever it is you want to do. There is also an act of learning with this, with Gemini. It's about gaining new information, learning new things. So if you can incorporate that as well, that would be great. Anything you do should turn out well because the Sun is making an aspect to Jupiter. So this is favourable for anything virtually. And then the other thing we have is an aspect from Mercury to Chiron. Chiron's in that 3rd house. Again, it's to do with learning, but this is a kind of learning that will help you to overcome any past fears, and this will help you to find your voice. Whether you're going to be speaking or writing, this will help you to express yourself in a much more easily and much more truthful way. New ideas will be coming through on the 20th when Mercury aspects Uranus in your 4th house. This could be solutions to a problem that may have been hanging on for some time, but now you'll find the answer and be able to solve it. Then on the 24th, we have Mars in action again, very active this month, making a positive aspect to Chiron, and Mars is in that 11th house. This is a good time to set example to friends and lead by example, show them what you can do, and they will follow you and they will be of assistance to you. And it's a good time to overcome any past hurts and put them behind you and just focus on doing what you've got to do and moving forward. Neptune is in the house of finances, but on the 26th it's best to steer clear of anything like that because he receives an aspect from Mercury, and this is a day filled with fantasy and maybe daydreams, not a day for concentrating. Then on the 28th, Mars in full flow now makes a fantastic aspect with Saturn. This is a positive one. Remember last month we had a square where there was a lot of hold-ups and limitations. Now it's all full flow. 4 days of pure practical energy where you can do anything really, detailed work, physical work, anything. The 29th is a day where you probably want to do some thinking, inward thinking, reflection. We have Mercury coming up to Venus, who's retrograde in that 12th house. So the 12th house is about things that are hidden, so it's a good time to go within and examine these things. With Venus, it's a good time to look at relationships, past relationships, where you may have gone wrong in the past, so you can correct this behaviour in the future. The Sun is also making an aspect to Chiron, a healing planet, so it's a good time to heal any old wounds and fears from the past. The other aspect on that day is between Jupiter and the Moon's nodes. Jupiter squares both nodes, so this is another time when you can balance things up between the 5th and 11th house. It might be freedom and closeness, it might be friends and children, it might be creativity versus responsibilities. It's a time of quiet contemplation and balancing things. With all the contemplation you've done over the last couple of days, new discoveries will be made on the 31st, because the Sun makes an aspect to Uranus. These discoveries could be from the past, because Uranus is in that 4th house. Maybe by looking back, you've come up with some discoveries and found out some things about yourself that you can now put into use and make the relevant changes going forward. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If you'd like to leave me a comment, I'll be glad to hear from you.